Natural gas serves around 71 million homes and businesses around the clock in the United States. Federal and state regulations are in place to help ensure the safety of these lines through year-round monitoring and inspections for leaks or other corrosives that may be in these lines. Natural gas pipeline right-of-ways are often indicated by yellow markers. If you live in an area with a natural gas pipeline right-of-way, you should become familiar with the location and be very careful not to build any structure that might obstruct these areas in the case of an emergency. Natural gas is highly flammable and in its raw state is completely odorless. By law, a rotten egg or sulfur-like smell is added to allow easy detection. Because natural gas locations are also highly pressurized, you will also hear an audible hissing or roaring sound in the event of a leak as well. If you're going to be digging or doing any sort of construction project, make absolutely sure that you call 811 before you dig.
When we're talking about construction sites and just residential property itself, a lot of people don't realize the importance of a law that is in place just for the safety of the community, the construction workers, as well as residents. That is the 811 number to call before you dig. When it comes to construction sites, most construction and excavation companies realize the importance of calling 811 before they dig. Most states require at least a 48-hour notification before you dig so that all the utility and natural gas lines can be marked. Some states go a step further and require 72 hours. This is important for these large equipments and power tools and stuff like that, so you know where to use them and where not to use them, so that way you don't crimp lines, unnecessarily dig up lines and cause a major leak. One of the things when we talk about 811 is residents should follow the same laws when it comes to some of the work they do around their yard and around their property. It is also call 811 before you dig. When you're getting ready to do projects such as put in driveways, build retaining walls, even as simple as planting trees, digging fence posts, or placing mailboxes, you should call 811 before you do those digs so that the utilities can be marked, because you don't realize what is underground and where it's located at. Even if you think you might know, 9 times out of 10, it may not run in the same direction that you think it's going to run. You know, just the things about building decks, securing awnings and stuff like that, when you're boring holes into grounds, you should make sure you call 811 before you dig and give the proper notification so that the utilities can come out and be marked. Once those utilities are marked, then you can proceed with your home projects or construction projects such as this, so that it's done safely to protect all of us. Natural gas incidents are generally not very common. Most of the time we have these incidents, it's situations that we create by doing the things we talked about, digging before you call 811 and have the lines marked. And generally by not doing proper maintenance when it comes to our natural gas lines, which generally our superhighways are monitored and checked yearly. But these natural gases are highly flammable and can be easily ignited. So we want to make sure that we use our 3 senses, smell, look, and listen, when it comes to detecting these locations. You know, these natural gases, they can, because they are lighter than air, generally when we have the rupture or let off, it generally evaporates and dissipates out into the environment without a lot of problems, but they can mass and void areas such as under sewer lines and places of that nature, especially become trapped in various types of structures such as a residence or businesses. So we want to make sure that if we do smell or hear a gas leak, that we leave the area immediately and make sure we notify everybody to leave the area as well. Other things we want to think about is these ruptured lines can also create explosion situations, plus these products that collect in these void areas, we want to make sure that they can be easily ignited and create explosions at the same time. So that's why we want to make sure that we've started the evacuation process to get people out of these locations. If you have a leak that's in your residence or you smell natural gas, you want to make sure that you do evacuate the area, but you want to make sure that you open all the doors and windows so that the way that the natural gas don't create a buildup in those locations and reach an ignition source and explode. You want to make sure you don't want to use garage door openers, you don't want to use doorbells, flashlights, cell phones. They can create an ignition source for the natural gas. You also want to make sure you don't strike matches or smoke or use a cigarette lighter when you have the smell of natural gas. You also want to make sure that you don't stop vehicles that are coming to that location or start a vehicle for that same purpose of becoming an ignition source. And by all means, you don't want to try to shut off the gas yourself. You want to make sure you properly notify 911 so the proper authorities can respond to that location. You also might want to make sure that you jot down the natural gas or the distributor in your location's emergency contact number so that you have those, and we'll place that up on the screen of Atmos Energy's emergency contact number. There's other ways to learn about the natural gas locations in your area by the mapping system that's out there, and we'll put that website up on as well. So there's various ways for us to know what is in our area just by utilizing those means of information. Other ways is to make sure we call 811 before we dig in any location. That way we don't have to figure out where it is accidentally and create a rupture or maybe even an explosion or a fire situation. One of the things you also want to remember that if there is a fire from a ruptured line, you don't want to attempt to put those out because the fire is burning that product off, so that way the product is being taken care of until authorities can get there to mitigate the situation, cut off the source of where the natural gas is coming from. And the other thing you want to make sure is because we rely on this product as a way of and means of our lives, we want to make sure we can learn everything we can about the product so that we know how to handle situations, make sure we know our evacuation plans, make sure we know where our lines are located at once we have them marked to remember those locations. But always remember, dial 811 no matter where you live at. Make sure that you check your own natural gas lines within your structure bi-yearly so that way that you can make sure that you have no leaks. And if you do smell gas, call the proper authorities at 911 so they can come out and monitor, see what your CO2 levels are in those locations.